Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to our new slot, Tuesday evenings for the VCO Esports Studio. Myself, Ben Constanduros. And as you know, every week we interview the very best in sim racing, whether it be drivers, organisers, championships from the virtual and from the real world. And we really believe in providing the most realistic platform for you guys to race, whether it be as a top level professional or whether it be just part of a community. And last week we announced a partnership with IVRA based out of Toronto. And to explain more about what IVRA do and why VCO and IVRA have become a partnership, we have the Chief Operating Officer, Julian Bell, joining us very early in the morning in Toronto. But thank you very much for joining us, Julian. Just tell us a little bit about what IVRA is.
So IVRA is it's an organization that's been around for a while, and Casper and I have kind of molded it to what it is now, and we really seek to offer sim racers the best that they can get in sim racing to kind of realistically emulate what you would actually get at a track day or at a race day, like kind of across the board. And for some series that we have, that's full safety car procedures, multi-class racing, and for others it's a supporting series that's going to race prior to the main series of that day. So we really try to give all the teams and the drivers the best experience that they can have, rather than just kind of a show up and drive type deal.
And where has this motivation come from? What's your involvement in sim racing before?
I think, for me personally, I've always been a really competitive guy. I've played, competitive sports at high levels kind of throughout my life. And, once you're done school, done university, and you don't have the regular things you might have, you start to look for other stuff to kind of fill that void and, have teammates, have competition and stuff like that. And, that's how I got into it. And Casper has, always been a motorsport enthusiast and loves racing himself. And so, collectively, we raced together for quite a while, won a championship ourselves in DGFX, which was part of the former IVRA. And so, we kind of looked at it and said, we believe that we can put a package together that reflects what we would want to have during the race day, and that is something that we think that a lot of other drivers want to have too. And so, and seeing people continuing to come out, and our own competitive and motorsport passions, I think collectively that's what kind of drives us to keep going and to keep producing the best service that we can.
And I mean, there's so many organizations that put together races on iRacing every day of the week. What kind of makes IVRA stand out?
Yeah, I think it's good because in iRacing you have a lot of different options, right? And everybody likes and prefers different things. For some, it's the arrive and drive mentality. Some people, it's fast lap after fast lap, and they're happy to do that. And that's the great thing, is that there's something that fits everybody and what they want to do. I think for us personally, what sets us apart, and what motivated me to start in endurance racing, because honestly, when I started with sim racing, I didn't think endurance racing or GT cars or GTE cars was what I was going to be interested in driving. I thought it'd be open wheel because I was like F1 growing up, right? But then you're introduced to something new and you realize like there's a whole different strategy involved. And with the races that we run, especially the ones with safety cars, it's not just arrive and drive, and you can't just be fast to be successful. There's so much strategy involved in so many different ways throughout the race, and you need spotters, you need somebody that's doing strategy for you if you're going to actually do well. which kind of goes back to that trying to simulate and emulate what an actual race day in an endurance series would look like for people. We have, I think a good example is Andrew Streetley, who's the main engineer for Fiercely Forward. He's got an intense setup, and he does all of their planning for their engineering. He's got 10 screens going on with an intense amount of data. And just increasingly, that's what we're seeing from a lot of the teams that are participating, is that, they realize that they have to be running all these different scenarios that may occur, because a safety car can realistically come out at any time, and that will completely shake up the field. And if you're not prepared for that, if you're not planning for that, or understand how those things operate, you could be on paper the fastest person out there, but not even close to the top 5. And I think that's the biggest thing for us, at least from my viewpoint, that separates us from other potential series, is that there's so much more involved, and that strategy, for me, makes things a lot more fun.
You mentioned safety car a couple of times. It's a bit of a bugbear. I know it is a big bugbear of the boss of VCO, and it's a bugbear of mine that, as you say, an endurance race can be so formulaic and can be rehearsed so many times in sim racing because of the lack of unpredictability, that the impossibility of having rain for the moment on iRacing, and, as you say, a safety car period. Why did you choose to implement safety car periods, and how do you implement safety car periods in your endurance series?
The safety car periods were actually, they were around. It's not something that we invented, so to speak. The DGFX and the Club Sport series were running them prior to us at Ivor running them, and that's something that we were involved into. But over the past 2 years since we kind of amalgamated, became IVRA, we've really perfected what the safety car looks like and how it's going to operate. And so it's there's a lot of different layers to it. We have software that's running that's going to let us know where all the classes are on track, kind of at all times, so that we understand where potential issues are coming up. We're constantly surveying the field during the race, and if we see something, we've got to move to that. We have to assess it and say, is this something that warrants a safety car coming out? Is this something that the car can limp back to the pits on their own, or are they out of fuel? It might be a few different things. So we have to assess the scenario that's going on with like car number 2, 3, 4. Why are they on the side of the road? And then from there, internally on Discord with the teams, we have a bot that they can request a tow. So if that comes up, then we know immediately we're throwing the safety car at that period, at that point. Sorry. And then from us, we have a team of usually at least 4 or 5 people that are all at different kind of like quote unquote stations. So, somebody has to operate the safety car, somebody has to be on pit lane, somebody's over comms, just keeping an eye on teams, letting them know where to go so that we don't run into unnecessary incidents. And then, as we proceed through this, we have to figure out, do certain cars have wave rounds? Where are they in their class relative to the leader of that class? We're calling pit lanes to be open. We're calling the pit lane exit to be open. And these are all things that teams can be penalized on too. So if it's a team coming in that's not used to these, it's very easy for them to run into scenarios where this happened in Mid Ohio last year. Actually, we had 10 cars that came out of the pit lane before it was opened, and several of them were leading the group of LMP2s, and they get end of line penalties. And now your race has completely changed because you're trying to fight back to get to where you were for the majority of the race. So that's kind of how it goes as we're proceeding through it, very simply. And then, once we've finished our wave rounds, our end of line penalties, and any other like little necessary things that need to get ironed out, we'll let the teams know that we're going back to green. We have an acceleration zone, restart zone, and they get back to it.
Interesting. So it really is, as you say, very similar to the real world. It does sound like it takes quite a bit of manpower, though. It's not just you kind of overseeing the whole thing. It sounds like you've got a good team behind you.
Yeah, and we have to. Our team's really great, and it's very kind of fluid too. Like we have our own RC briefings, the same as we send out drivers briefings to all the teams and drivers that we review prior to races, so that we know where each of us are going to be. I guess you say stationed for the race, and what duties that entails for the race. And honestly, you can only go as far as the people that are around you, and the jobs they're doing. Like this could not be possible with just one or two people. There's just far too much involved. So we're definitely grateful to have the people on helping we have.
So we've talked about the endurance series, but you run a different selection of series, and it does seem as though some are for the more professional teams, others are really catering for the community. What's the kind of motivation, and how does that work?
Yeah, I think ideally, like we have series that are offered, for everybody that's on iRacing, and that's for some people it's the MX5, and for some it's the endurance series, um, and even within each one, we realize that there's going to be people that are super fast, and people that are just beginning, and want to try to get into private series, see how they work, you know, start to learn like, oh, there's a safety car. These people are doing a safety car. Like, what does that mean? We haven't seen that before. What is endurance racing? A lot of people, again, it's just something they might not know of. So, um, with Club Cup, for example, just that's just MX5s, super fun, and this year we're gonna have different classes in that, so that people that are on the lower spectrum of top end lap times are still competing in their own championship. While the pros, so to speak, are up there battling in theirs. And with club sport, it's kind of that like gateway, that entry towards potentially competing in endurance series. But for some teams, they might love the classes that are racing there, and be happy to stick with that, because that's basically run the exact same way as we run the endurance series. It's just instead of these top tier sports cars or prototype cars that you see in IMSA or WEC, it's the 911 Cup, GT4s, and TCRs. And so on its own merit, those are super fun, but it is a very different race to have compared to what the endurance series is. And then finally we have the HyperX GT Sprint series, which just GT3 cars, and we've opened up the calendar this year, so there's going to be a lot more races in that, and that's 2 1-hour sprint races. And again, there's different classes, so it's we understand that there's going to be the pro teams or semi-pro teams that are coming out to that are going to be at the front, super fast, but these more am-sided teams can come in and still compete on the grid with them in their own championship. And then the Triple Crown, which is one that we just started this year, and hopefully the second one is going to get up and running in December at Silverstone, is a 24-hour race that's us fully on board ourselves for safety car periods, full race control, live stewarding, which again is just a completely different challenge for teams and drivers. iRacing official series or official races, they have their 24-hour events, but again, it's the kind of arrive and drive type deal. Obviously intense practice going on, but basically it's, can I stay alive, not get damaged, and consistently drive fast? And that's practically it, right? You run away from people and you're safe at the front. But doing a 24-hour race with a full safety car period, full race control and stewarding, you take 10 minutes of damage, 13 minutes of damage, you are still fully and completely in that race, and would have no time getting back to the lead pack. So I think that's kind of the spectrum that we offer, and why it's good for kind of really anybody in the service.
Sounds really, really interesting. So finally, just let's talk about the partnership with VCO and how it came about, and why it's important for you guys.
VCO is somebody that we I guess you could say grew up watching in sim racing. It's this big name that you see on everything, and it's always doing and involved with some pretty cool stuff. And so as we grew this year, we started to look more for ways to support our growth and support what we were trying to accomplish. And I think the charity event that you guys put on a while ago was one of the main things that kind of kicked that off for us. Florian and I got in touch shortly after, and realized that together we might be able to keep pushing forward in the community, and just further pushing what is possible in sim racing and what can be offered to sim racers, that just help to fully realize that emulation and simulation of race days, which is really cool and something that we're really looking forward to.
And there'll be broadcast, almost all of the races, I think, are broadcast on our VCO channel. So there'll be plenty of high quality production value in everything that you guys are doing. And anybody who joins and decides to race will get great coverage as well.
Absolutely. Super, super stoked about that. I think, we've all had Race Spot partnered up for us with the broadcasts, and, they do a great job. And then, to have that further hosted through VCO on all of your different platforms, it's going to be great for everybody involved, to be able to watch it on so many, I guess, different platforms, to reiterate, but in different ways. Really, really looking forward to what's to come this upcoming season, you guys.
Right, for anybody therefore that's watching this evening and goes, "Oh, I didn't know about that. How do I learn more?" You've done a very good job of giving us all the information, but is it all written down somewhere? Is there a website that we can log on and register?
Yeah, if you head over to IVRA.com, it's super, super simple there to find each of the different series, the regulations that are for those series, and really anything else that you might be interested in. And for each of those, you'll see a Discord link as well. We just have one server now, so if you find one, you're going to the right place. And any of Race Control or Casper or myself are always happy to answer questions and kind of direct people in the right way, right place, so that they kind of find what they're looking for.
Looks like you're going to be very, very busy the second half of this year and into next year. Julian, thank you very, very much for joining us here on VCO. It's been a pleasure to chat to you.
Glad to be by. Thanks a lot for having me, guys.
So here on the chat show, every week we have a different guest, and we never really know who it's going to be. So make sure you tune in every Tuesday from 8 o'clock, and of course re-watch everything on our YouTube channel. All 50 odd broadcasts are up there for your delectation. And if you do want to get involved with IVRA, then it is IVRAleague.com. I'll be heading there right this second to see if there's anything that fits my bill, although I'm a bit rubbish. So until next week, enjoy your sim racing, and bye-bye.